Even my barber today, Rich, said, what the hell were the Yankees thinking trading for that guy and then trading Montgomery to St. Louis? I said, Rich, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but I'll ask Rick Hummel. So there you go.
I think Brian Cashman wanted Harrison Bader to play center field in the last couple of weeks of September and in the playoffs to give him a better defense because Aaron Hicks isn't very good out there, and he doesn't want to play Judge out there and wear him out. So what you've done here is New York has traded a guy who's going to pitch close to 200 innings this year for a guy who can barely walk right now. And that doesn't look good when the guy they replaced Montgomery with, Montas, has pitched so poorly. And I think people that follow the Yankees know pretty well that the Yankees haven't been any good since Carpenter got hurt either. They haven't done anything since their offense has been awful since he got hurt. And he was a big part of that.
Commissioner, you're looking at the Cardinals, and listen, they've just played great ball, and it's been really impressive. I mean, they've just been on a roll. It's not the same type of thing, but it's reminiscent just in the way they've taken off compared to the same thing they did last year. They just did it a different way last year. Other than some catastrophic injuries, let's say, right? How would they lose this division at this point? And I mean, I know Milwaukee's a tough-minded team. I don't take them for granted, but what would it take for the Cardinals to give this away? Again, unless it's a bunch of really devastating injuries.
Well, it'd be nice for them to have a cushion going into that late September 8-game trip to San Diego, LA, and Milwaukee, because 4-4 is an outstanding trip, and that with those three teams as the opposition, that's a trip where if you're not playing very well, you could win 1 or 2 and lose 6. So, keep the lead as they have it now, or even expand that, because the teams are basically playing the same schedule in the division the rest of the way. All three lesser teams have a bunch of games with the Cardinals and Brewers. The Brewers also have a homestand, a very tricky one of back-to-back Yankees and Mets about 3 weeks from now. And that may not go well for them. So the Brewers are in big trouble here right now because they've also kind of lost contact in the wild card race. They're a couple games back in that race to San Diego, which I think is going to start playing better now that they're home. And Soto's been there a while, and they know they're not going to have Tatis anymore for the rest of the year. So this is their club, and their pitching is good enough. I think Milwaukee will be on the sidelines if they don't step it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's an interesting season for them to be sure. Rick Hummel with us from STL Today and the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, the Hall of Fame baseball writer, who we look forward to this regularly on every Friday, sometimes different days, which is fine. I'll take Rick Hummel on my show anytime I can get him. A note from John Denton, by the way, from MLB.com, just because producer Dave Solomon forwarded it, and I appreciate that. Ryan Helsley's been placed on the paternity leave list, and left-handed pitcher Jojo Romero, who they got from the Phillies in the Edmundo Sosa deal, has been recalled from Memphis. Juan Yepez has been activated off the IL, but optioned to Memphis. Well, congratulations to Ryan Helsley and Mrs. Helsley, because that's a very special time. But just from strictly, we're talking about how this is going to be a tough weekend potentially for the Cardinals. Well, not having him around, that certainly increases the degree of difficulty.
Yeah, Gallegos will have to be good, and maybe that's one of the reasons why Ali Marmol took Palante out of that game the other day after he pitched 2 and 1/3, perfect innings. He could have gone out for the 9th and put that game away, but he wanted to save him either to help bail out Hudson on Saturday or for sure be, one of the closer types on Sunday. With Miklasz tonight, you can be pretty much sure of 7 innings. And if he doesn't go that long, that means you're pretty far behind anyway. It doesn't make any difference if you have Helsley or not. So I think tonight is not the big game. Tomorrow would be a game Helsley would be bigger in, and Palante, and even Gallegos maybe. But Helsley will be fresh for Chicago, where they have 5 games in 4 days. So if he could pitch like 2 of the 4 for sure, 2 of the 4 days, and maybe 3 if they really need it. They'll be all right. But, yeah, it's a tough time, but they've got other guys out there, and I'm kind of anxious to see Romero. You know, I saw him earlier in the season in Philadelphia. He was pretty good. So, and they seem to have lost all faith in Cabrera right now. To bring him into a 13-0 game yesterday kind of spoke of where he fits into the pecking order right now.
I think it's kind of stunning in a way because he was a very vital guy and for the most part pretty good. I mean, not real good with inheritor runners this year and things like that. He hadn't been quite as sharp, but to your point, I mean, he's just kind of nowhere to be found. So where do you think this is going to lead? I mean, they're going to have to rely on him at some point, right?
Yeah, they're going to have to use him a lot late in the season and the postseason to get tough left-handed hitters out. They're going to face a bunch of those if they get in. So there's time. There's 6 weeks to go to get him ironed out, and these are baby steps certainly. But I'd like to see, you know, just talking about Elsley being out, maybe Cabrera will get a chance to pitch some meaningful innings or outs this weekend because Arizona's got a few left-handed hitters in their lineup you might want to run them out there against.
Rick Hummel, what Albert Pujols is doing is pretty extraordinary. Listen, he's got a lot of will, and he's obviously incredibly competitive. He's very, very smart, and he's in a place that energizes him. But I got to say, though, I didn't expect this. I mean, this has been pretty remarkable what he's been doing. I mean, his last 32 at-bats, only 32 at-bats, he's got 5 home runs and 14 RBIs. I mean, I did not expect that, sir. What about you?
I thought he would be productive, but not to this level maybe. You know, about maybe before the All-Star break, we were wondering, boy, is this a good idea or not? How much should you really play him the rest of the year? And I still ask myself that question because you have to spot him still. I mean, you want to use him against all the left-handers, all of them. Relievers, starters, doesn't matter. But maybe not against too many of the right-handers. And they've got a pretty good book on which ones he's most likely to hit. I mean, the ones with the high gas and the sharp sliders, probably not. The guys who depend on finesse and stuff, well, they make a mistake, Albert will lose it.
Commissioner Ali Marmol has, he impresses because he does try to do things to solve problems, and not all of them are going to work. But when he's got a bad situation, like the leadoff spot, for example, he'll kind of figure something out, try it out, and like in this case, and it's only been a few games really, but this system that he's working out with Nootbaar and Carlson at leadoff, at least in the short term, he's gotten really good results with that. And I realize who they've been playing too. But this month, for example, they got like a 348 on base percentage from the leadoff spot. Up until this month, it was like 297. So, do you like what you see with this unofficial platoon, Carlson and Nootbaar in the one hole?
Yeah, I do. Now, with Arizona, I believe, throwing 2 left-handers this weekend, we're going to see Carlson up there 2 games and Nootbaar 1. But I think Ali took note of the fact that Nootbaar was drawing a lot of walks no matter where he hit in the lineup, so I said, well, let's try him first. And in the last 2 games, he's been on 7 times. I think 3 walks and a hit batter and 3 hits. And Donovan, who they were kind of not playing very much for a while because DeYoung was back, Albert was hot, O'Neill was back. There wasn't much spot for him. Has now muscled his way into a platoon role too with maybe, I don't know, O'Neill and DeYoung. I don't know how that's going to work, but you got to get him up there. He's had 5 for his last 6 hits, and he plays the position all right. So they're winning with that combination. That's what you're going to see against all the right-handers for a while anyway. Until that's why they can option Yepes to the minor leagues. And where would you play him right now? He's not your DH. Gorman or Albert are the DHs, and actually Donovan and Albert were the DHs the last couple of days. There wasn't any spot for Yepes to play, so just keep him sharp. And September 1st, you add him, of course, and you add Flaherty if he's all right, and that's your 2 extra guys for the last month. Yeah,
Nootbaar, the more he plays, the more impressive he is. And better for him to play against right-handed pitchers, but even late last year when he came back up, because I kind of give him a pass on what happened early this season. I mean, he was up and down, up and down, up and down. There wasn't any continuity there. But once he came up for good, he's been impressive. So guy's got a good arm. He plays good defense like you mentioned. He gets on base. He's got a 14.5% walk rate this year. That's outstanding. And hits line drives. I mean, there's really a lot to like about this guy. I'm not putting him in the Hall of Fame or anything. I'm just saying he clearly's got some attributes.
And the thing that the manager liked most about his game yesterday was after he'd homered in the fifth to make it 12-0, he made a diving catch on a tough chance in right field where, it's 12-0. You don't have to risk your life for that ball. But he said, look, I see Molina doing it. I see Arenado doing it. I have to do it.
That's so right? It is. It's a good. It's a pretty good team culture there. Finally, Commish. It's too early to zero in on this per se, but the later it gets, the more conversations I'd like to have about it, I guess. What kind of chance do you think Goldschmidt has of being the NL most valuable player?
I think it's about 75 or 80% right now. He'd have to have a real rough last 6 weeks and them not win the division or make the playoffs for him not to win it. A guy like Riley from Atlanta has made a great surge after the first couple months of the year, and he would surely be in the top three. The Dodgers have 2 or 3 guys that would probably split the vote. They've got Betts, Freeman, and Trey Turner all have had outstanding seasons. So and Arenado will be in there too, and maybe take some of the vote from Goldschmidt, but not enough. I think Goldschmidt's it's a done deal, I think. Unless the Cardinals fall apart and he has a bad 6 weeks and Riley somehow sparks the Braves maybe to a division title. He's been very good, but he hasn't been Goldschmidt.
And I was reading, it was a good piece at CBSSports.com. I think Matt Snyder wrote it. I was reading this morning as I was waking up and having a cup of coffee that, Goldschmidt really is he is building a Hall of Fame career, depending on how many more years he plays and the quality of his play. But Matt Snyder's opinion on this, and it's correct, and Matt did a good job of laying out like the makings of Goldschmidt's case. And he's saying it's not a complete case yet, but he's getting there. But if he can get an MVP award in that Hall of Fame case, that'll really strengthen his chances of winning one or getting to the Hall of Fame, I should say.
Well, absolutely. I think he finished second one year with Arizona, and almost all the Hall of Fame slugger types have won an MVP or a Cy Young. You're not a Cy Young, but been close on the MVP. And you look at his numbers now. He's got 309 home runs. He's going to hit 400. He's got 2 years to go on this deal. Okay, let's say he hits 2 mediocre seasons. It'll be 50 more. And he's got maybe 5 more this year. Now you're up at 365 or so. And he wants to sign another deal after that, so sign him for 3 more years. And then he might be 425, 430 home runs with many Gold Gloves and that MVP you spoke of. I think he's in. But if he can do that, if he has 4 or 5 more years, they don't have to be MVP years, all of them, just good years.
Commish, given that it's harder than ever to score runs in Major League Baseball, this year's been tough again, and it's not like the offense of the floodgates have opened when it got warmer. Still pretty much okay, just kind of it's just not been a good year for offense. That's why, and also Busch Stadium, that's why to me his season's so remarkable. I mean, he's got right now the highest OPS of his career, and that's at age 34, and that's playing half his games in Busch Stadium, unlike his previous best seasons were in Arizona, which is a pretty hitter-friendly ballpark. It's just amazing to me that he's exceeding what he did in Arizona this year. This would be his best Major League season. And the circumstances are really working against him, yet there he is. 335, 418, 627, over 1,000 OPS, 29 homers, 34 doubles. He's going to have 90. He's going to have 100 RBIs, maybe even within the week. If he was 27, I'd say, yeah, okay. But 34, and he seemed to be going down a little bit, and here he is, man. He's roaring like a lion. He's a really impressive year.
And maybe of all the things that he does, this doesn't show up in any of your stats there, is how he runs the bases. Did you see him score from first base the other day? He cuts that corner, right foot on the corner. He never misses a step. He's going, top speed after about 3 steps. He's not like Lou Brock running, but he gives you a steady, he picks up steam and he goes. And he's never thrown out. And in fact, I think he hasn't been thrown out stealing a base in like 21 or 22 tries now. It hasn't been all this year, but
right.
He picks his spots there too. But he's a wonderful base runner.
No doubt about it. What a pleasure it is to be able to watch him. Just as just as someone who really appreciates the game and guys who play it right and just have really outstanding talent as well. He gives you he's sort of the best of everything. Really, he's really happy that he's a Cardinal because I think he fits. Needless to say, he fits in great. Well, Kamish, have a delightful weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, bud. Thank you.
That's our friend Rick Hummel. Don't forget, Mike Shannon, Get Up Baby, with Rick Hummel. The book is excellent. It's gotten great reviews. People really love it. Mike Shannon, My 7 Decades with the St. Louis Cardinals. There's a foreword by Bob Costas. Rick Hummel did a wonderful job of organizing this and engaging with Mike Shannon to get him to tell his stories about many, many topics and different aspects of his career. It's a really terrific book, so make sure you get that. It's never too early to get one, order one, stash it away for Christmas gifts. That's for holiday gifts. That's some words of advice here, too, because, that time of year you're getting ready for gifts and you're like, I don't know what to get this person. I don't know what do I get this? Buy a bunch of these books and just dish them out. There's Uncle Bernie's recommendation.